Hello everyone. Just a quick intro before we actually get into this video and me explaining how you actually escape Ragefire Chasm. Now, this is one of the first dungeons you'll do when you're leveling a fresh character. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't anyone who's actually escaped it yet, or at least when I've searched on YouTube I can't find any videos for it. It isn't exactly the simplest thing to do. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying it's a difficult thing to do, but it's not one that you would first imagine you'd do it this way, because you can't use cushions. The initial thing that you use to get behind the portal is obviously jumping over an Alt F4, so it doesn't actually teleport you out of the instance. There's no elixirs of growth that are used because there's not really anywhere that you can basically push yourself into and grow and push out. Now, instead of wasting your time, what I'll do, I'll just go right into the video and you can have a look for yourself and basically go on and try it yourself. Now, this is on live servers on 7.3.5. I don't know if it'll be patched. They have a habit of not patching any of the older dungeons, so I don't imagine that it will ever get patched. But if you ever wanted to see the little outside area, this is where you'll see it. Now, to actually get out of this dungeon, it did take me a couple tries. Mainly because, as I mentioned before, it's not the most straightforward way that you'd go about it, because when you go through that instance portal, there is an invisible wall, and from what I can see there's a couple of them to actually try and stop you getting through. Now, as you can see on screen, I'm playing a Demon Hunter. They are probably one of the best to actually get out of any dungeons and actually explore anywhere else. Now, what you need to do is, I'd probably suggest switching to the tanking spec, just because you'll need to leap a few times, and if you leap as a Havoc Demon Hunter, you'll only get your Metamorphosis and then that's it. Switching over to Vengeance, what you can do, if you leap through the portal, you will then appear on the other side. Make sure that you leap and then Alt F4 so you can actually get past the instance portal without it loading basically out of the dungeon. Once you're out and over the other side of the instance portal, what you'll then need to do is, if you run up to the right side, though again I took a couple tries for this, this is going to be one of the first times you see me do it. As you can see, I was hopping on the wall thinking, if I can get up there, can I jump over, and then I'll jump over to the other side. But that isn't actually what you need to do. What you need to do is, if you slip down, obviously just hug this corner wall, and if you then leap, you just have to leap just in front of you. I found that the best way to do it is if you line yourself up with the crack, and then it's probably just maybe less than half a centimetre to the left of that crack, you'll then leap. You'll know when you've done it right, because your camera will actually go into your character as if it's switching to a first person perspective. Now, once you've done this, all you then need to do is just leap out. I haven't found you're able to run out. All that I've found is this allows you to actually look through the invisible wall, or maybe get just onto the other side of it, or the first one, depending on, again, I don't know how they do it. There's no way to actually see any of the invisible walls. But once you've leaped, if you leap again then out, you're then out and free to explore. Now, the reason I was so interested to get out of Ragefire Chasm is because when you look at it, it doesn't look like live service for obvious reasons. It looks as if it was basically a little bit older. As you can see from this road leading out, it looks very old, something that would mimic, say, the first version of Ogrimmar, which, because I like seeing game development and seeing unused assets and things like that, it's one of the things that really intrigued me. As you can see, when I run up this hill, there's a nice big blue, basically void. If you position your camera outside of it, you see into the void, and as you can see, it's not a genuine void that you'd imagine. It's actually a skybox. Now, because I never played this game before Cataclysm, I don't know if this is the skybox for the old version of Ogrimmar. I know Blizzard have a habit of basically taking bits out of the map and just plopping them, say, outside of a dungeon, outside of a raid, wherever it be, or they could take an entire leveling zone and put it around the dungeon. Towards the end of the video, you'll see me leap out into it and basically see what happens when you just jump out into that nice big open void. Now, I did come on here with my mate after I had initially found out, just to see if there are any unhidden, or if there are any hidden places we could go, but we really didn't find many places. We just mainly messed about. We found a way to get onto the top bit of it, which again didn't really result in anything useful. As you can see from here, I was mainly just looking into each of the huts and see what was in there, see if there was anything unique or anything that basically caught my eye. As you can see, signs still work if you hover over them. This is because Blizzard do actually have a habit, as I've mentioned before, just taking chunks out of the map and putting them in, just removing things like NPCs and other things like that. So whenever you go outside of a dungeon or a raid, when you are in that instance, most of the time you'll see signs that work, you'll see buildings that you'd not normally see from the raid or the dungeon, but they still leave them in there because I guess that's how they do it. The reason that Blizzard actually do their dungeons and raids like this is, you've probably heard it before if you've seen other videos where people get out of dungeons. It's a smoke and mirrors approach. Basically, when you're in that dungeon, they'll include either part of something or they'll give you the illusion that even though you're in a dungeon and you're in an instance, there is still a world outside of that, which is a nice, neat thing to do, which when you're actually trying to get out of places, this is where you have a lot of things to explore and a lot of things to see. Now, in here, because it's basically the lower part of Orgrimmar, there isn't actually that much to see. I was hoping you'd see the top of Orgrimmar, but you can't. And with that being said, that's pretty much all there is to see. If you are interested in seeing other things like this, please let me know. And if you're still watching, thank you, and join me jumping out into the abyss.